The Kuvings AUTO10 versus the Hurom H400. I wish someone had told me this before I bought the AUTO10 because there's something about it that's only obvious after it's too late to return. And while everyone is focused on the hopper size, they're missing the one detail that matters the most. And no, it's not cleanup time. In the next 8 minutes, I'm about to show you the key difference between these two juicers, if having a larger hopper is better than fast cleanup, and something about the AUTO10 you might regret not knowing. Let's talk about the hoppers. The Hurom H400 comes with a 70-ounce hopper, while the Kuvings AUTO10 is 100 ounces. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, the AUTO10's hopper is more convenient, but the question is, how much more convenient? On paper, there's only a 30-ounce difference between these two, and just to put that in perspective, the H400 can make 2 to 3 cups of juice at once, while the AUTO10 can make 3 to 5 cups. But everyone seems to forget this simple yet obvious detail. You can lift the lids on either of these machines, which automatically stops the motors and lets you chuck in more produce. It takes what, maybe 3 seconds? And trust me, after making over 25 batches of juice with both, the hopper on the AUTO10 is like having a slightly bigger gas tank in your car. It's nice to have, but it didn't completely transform my experience. Now, the AUTO10 has an auger, a juicing screen, and a set of wipers. The H400 replaces all of those with one simple part. It's a groundbreaking new technology developed by Hurom engineers, and I think it's the one reason why the H400 is gaining popularity all over the world. It's called an all-in-one auger, and it pulls apart into 2 pieces so you can easily clean it. Hurom is the first to make this, and no other company has this technology. But is this feature actually worth it compared to the AUTO10's larger hopper? Don't worry, we're gonna find out later. Both juicing chambers have these mechanisms underneath the pulp ejectors that flip open. This helps you clean pulp out of the machine faster instead of digging it out with a brush. And I'd say most people want a juicer that's easy to put together. Well, the Hurom H400 only took 12 seconds, and the Kuvings AUTO10 took about 30 seconds. Once you've used either machine for a week, you start to get the hang of it. Muscle memory kicks in and it's like riding a bike. But here's the thing about creating healthy habits. Every friction point matters. If it's 6:45 in the morning, you're groggy and you got a meeting in an hour, you're probably not going to stick to your juicing routine. In moments like these, the H400's simplicity shines. Just stack, twist, and you're ready to go. So point goes to the H400. Everyone is talking about batch juicing, but there's one hidden cost you might never have thought about. Here's the truth, the bigger the hopper, the more space it's gonna take from your kitchen. And in today's world where we're all juggling air fryers, coffee makers, and toasters, every square inch counts. The Hurom H400 weighs 14.8 pounds, not exactly a lightweight, but manageable for most people, while the Kuvings AUTO10 weighs 16.5 pounds. And it makes a slight difference, especially when you spill juice all over your counter. You're gonna have to pick up the machine, wipe underneath, and then move it to a dry area. And at 16.5 pounds, this thing can feel like a gym weight. Now, both machines will technically fit onto your standard kitchen cabinets, but the H400 has this slimmer cylindrical body with a pulp container in the back. So you're gonna have more space to work with. And if you like starting your day with fresh juice, but you've got a partner who'd kill you for waking them up at 7 a.m. or a baby who finally just fell asleep, don't ignore this next part. I tested the noise levels on both machines, and let me put this in perspective for you. The standard kitchen blender is 100 decibels loud. Now the H400 is about 60 decibels, but the Kuvings AUTO10 clocks in about 76, and that's a noticeable difference. The app I was using compared it to a small vacuum cleaner. Now, I don't think it's a deal breaker, but the AUTO10 can make some pretty weird screeching noises, so just wanna make you aware of that. And before we get to the juice yield, be sure to check out the links in the description below where you can get the best discount on the internet for either of these machines. To keep things fair, I weighed out 10.8 ounces of oranges for both machines. So let's load up the Kuvings AUTO10 and then load up the Hurom H400. Now I'm just gonna flick the switch on both and see how they do. Because these are batch juicers, there were some oranges getting caught on both machines, so I lifted the lids up and I had to fix them. As soon as you lift the lid up on either machine, the motor shut off like I mentioned, so you don't have to worry about getting your fingers chopped off. The AUTO10 finished first because the juice stopped dripping out of the machine. What I did was I tipped both juicers to make sure we could get all the juice, and here's the pulp on the H400, and here's the pulp on the AUTO10. Now, both of these were super dry, which means they did a great job of efficiently extracting the juice. And now for the moment of truth. How much yield do each of these get? We'll start with the H400. The Hurom H400 finished with about 217 milliliters of juice. Let's take a look at the pulp using a sieve. Looks like there was a bit of pulp in the drink, but I'm going to move it to a bowl so you can compare it later. Next up is the Auto10. The Kuvings Auto10 finished with about 218 milliliters of juice. Let's see how much pulp was left in the glass by using the sieve. So this one was able to drain quicker, but in terms of pulp, you can see there's less pulp than the H400. I'll zoom out so you can compare both machines. But there's one massive problem with this experiment. You're not getting the full picture. I get a lot of comments asking about specific ingredients like how does it do with celery, what about ginger, and how dry is the pulp. So I actually spent more than 37 hours comparing these machines with celery, ginger, oranges, and leafy greens, and I've got those exact numbers for you. But before I reveal them, I need to tell you something that nobody mentions in their Auto10 reviews that you might regret not knowing. Something you would only learn years after you bought the machine. And by that time, it's already too late to return it. See, some people are obsessed over that 100-ounce hopper, and I'm not gonna lie, I like it. But here's the dirty truth. We all get lazy sometimes, and maybe you're running late for work, maybe the kids are screaming for breakfast, and maybe you're just tired and you think, good enough after a quick rinse. With these microscopic holes on the Auto10's juicing screen, good enough isn't actually good enough. Those trapped specks of pulp can build into stubborn mineral deposits like plaque that builds up on teeth over time. And when that happens, you'll start getting less and less juice from the same amount of produce. It's like slowly flushing your money down the toilet. Now, it takes a long time for this to happen, and you can always do a deep clean, but still, it's something worth considering. Now, here's where it gets really frustrating. Let's say you're making multiple batches of juice in one session, and maybe you start the day off with a ginger turmeric wellness shot that kicks your immune system into high gear, but then you want to make some OJ for your partner or your kids. You might think, I'll just run some soapy water through the Auto10 for a quick rinse between batches. Well, it doesn't exactly work like that. Without a proper cleaning, certain ingredients can seep into other recipes. Ginger can turn your OJ into an unexpected spice bomb, beetroot can make everything taste earthy, and leafy greens sometimes leaves a weird aftertaste. So I find myself doing a complete cleanup between recipes no matter which juicer I'm batching with. And the difference here is that the Hurom H400 is much faster to clean. It takes only 1 minute and 6 seconds, and the Auto10 takes 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and that's if you really rush. Do it properly and you're closer to 3 minutes. Now multiply that by 3 to 4 recipes in one batch session, and suddenly you're spending an extra 10 minutes just on cleaning. And trust me, after you do this 20 or 30 times, you're gonna start to get annoyed. But that's not all. The Auto10 has these rubber wipers that are supposed to sweep juice into the spout. Sometimes they just spin and spin and spin while the juice sits trapped inside the chamber. And if I had to guess, you could lose about 2 tablespoons per batch because these wipers sometimes don't work properly. And I thought I could fix the machine by tipping it. But when I did, the juice just leaked right out of the pulp ejector. Now, as promised, I want to show you the benchmarks that were done separate from this experiment on celery, ginger, oranges, and leafy greens. What we'll do is we'll set up a split screen so you can watch how each machine performs. To start, I measured 6 ounces of celery for each juicer. I loaded up both of these machines with celery and I let them rip. Both machines were making light work of the celery, and sometimes celery can get wrapped around the blades if you don't chop it up into smaller pieces. Time to pour out the H400. We've got 132 milliliters of celery juice. And next, I poured out the Auto10, and we've got about 118 milliliters of celery juice. Looks like the celery pulp was drier on the Auto10, but the H400 made more juice. And I think it's because celery tends to get stuck inside the Auto10 juicing chamber. For ginger, I measured 1.3 ounces for each juicer. I dumped the chunks into the top of the machine and flicked the switches. So we've got 21 milliliters of ginger juice for the Hurom H400, and for the Auto10, we were able to squeeze out 36 milliliters of juice. Here's the squeeze test on the H400, and here's the squeeze test on the Auto10. Both of these look wet, but I think it had to do with me not drying the juicers after washing them. But the Auto10 did have the higher yield on this one. Next up, we've got oranges. I measured out 8.5 ounces and put them into the machines, flipped the switches, and you can see them just getting swept from the top. Oranges tend to take a lot longer to sweep. That turned into about 162 milliliters of juice for the H400, and for the Auto10, we were able to squeeze out 158 milliliters of OJ. Here's a squeeze test on the H400, and here's a squeeze test on the Auto10. Both were pretty darn dry. For leafy greens, I used 2 ounces, which is about a half bag. Let's flick them both and watch what happens. So we've got 28 milliliters of green juice for the H400, and for the Auto10, we've got about 26 milliliters of juice. Here's a squeeze test on the Hurom H400, and I couldn't really do a squeeze test on the Auto10 because the pulp was wrapped around the auger, but by the looks of it, it seemed pretty wet. So here's the final scorecard. I think you'd be happy with either machine, but personally, I get more use out of the H400. Plus, you get the best of both worlds with batch juicing and easy clean. It does leave more pulp inside your drink, but I don't mind that, and a little pulp is actually good for you. No matter which one you choose, I'll leave links in the description below that give you the best discounts for either of these juicers. I can't guarantee that these links or codes will always work, so if you're looking to save some money, don't wait.